You can enjoy a little bit of history where State Roads 79 and 70 meet in Atwood. Antique tractors and engines come alive on the first weekend in June and the second weekend in October.
This particular tractor here, we found that it's a few miles from here from a farm. And the head had been laying down on the ground for about 20 years and been raining down in the engine. And we got her back to the shop and worked a little magic on it for 3 or 4 months and got her running again. About the same as that one over there. It was growing up in honeysuckles. And you couldn't even tell a tractor was there when we found it. And we drug it out with a 4-wheel drive Suburban. And we worked the Suburban so hard that we spun the rod bearings in it getting it out. This is one of the first international farmalls made, is a farmall line, I'll put it that way. And they called this the regular. And then after they made this tractor for a while, they improved it a little bit, where it's the open gears, and it was just a 3-speed. And then later on they made the F20 farmall, encased the gears and made it a 4-speed and upped the horsepower on it a little bit.
See them junked and done away with for several years. I got interested in kind of preserving them. Started out with old cars, and then it worked into tractors, then the old gasoline engines. And we just started picking them up and gathering them up and keeping them all, getting scrapped. And we've built them now for several years. And that's the reason I got that tractor. It was only built but 2 years, and it was built by the Ground Page Car Company in Detroit. And I found it up in Kentucky, laying on its side in the honeysuckles. Wow. And then I went to Michigan and got another one in between the two. I made one good tractor. It was a row crop tractor with the plows. It was a 2-row tractor. And back right after the war, there was a big shortage of tractors during that period of time. But Ground Page, they went out of business, and then they went back to building a Kaiser Fraser car, which I'm sure you've heard of. And it's not a tractor that was down south here. It was a northern tractor, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and a few of them got off down this way.
Restoring these tractors is really more than just a hobby. It's a way to remember the great contributions these machines and their builders made to our economy and to our way of life. The tractor increased farm production from a few acres to hundreds and often thousands of acres.
Well, that's a 1949 Model H. When I was growing up, my dad had a H and all my uncles had H's, and that was just, the growing up type tractor. And so for the first one that I fixed, that was an H. And they was just general purpose tractor. You broke ground with them, disted ground with them, and then you cultivated. They was general purpose.
International Harvester, John Deere, Massey Ferguson, and other tractors are all represented at the show. But another delight is the smattering of antique engines on display.
That's a 6-horse John Deere. It's made in 1927. I found it in Greensburg, Kansas last year. And it's pulling a feed mill, a Fairbanks Morris feed mill.
How does it run? It's got that interesting little pop sound.
It's hit and miss governed. It runs up to about 450 RPM. Then it misses until the RPM comes down. Then it'll hit again. And it's not a throttle governed engine. It's just up and down with its RPM.
How does the belt stay on? It looks like it's going to come off any minute.
It's got a crown to pulley, and you just got to get them lined up. Now, if it was pulling a load in that mill, it would probably jump off till we get everything lined up. But it's kind of an art to get them straight, get them lined up. That's a 25-horse Superior. It come from Okmulgee County, Oklahoma. And it pulled 8 oil wells on the Cherokee Indian Nation out there. And put to work about 1920, and it run to 1975, pretty much continuous duty. And it was in what's called a central house. And it had a rod line. It worked 8 oil wells at the same time. And that's where I got that engine 3 or 4 years ago. It only runs on natural gas or propane. And it's got a 12-inch cylinder and 18 inches of stroke. It's a large engine. Weighs about 7,000 pounds. And it only runs at 180 RPM top speed. It's running about 65 right now, 65 RPM.
These smaller engines ran grist mills, grinders, and power tools. They pumped water and performed other small jobs around the farm and business. Improved versions eventually found their way into home use, powering lawnmowers, washing machines, and early versions of other appliances.
Slate pick that they put slate on top of the houses and stuff years ago, you know, and they had to pick it and weaken it, and then they break it.
Just beyond the tractors and engines, Bobby Stewart displays the hand tools that were vital and are now unique.
Way back, I had corns on the side of your foot, and then the shoes would hurt them, and you had to put this in there and mash it real hard, and then it would stretch that leather, and where you could wear your shoes. A lot of people down here don't know what these are. These are ox shoes. And this particular ones right here were for ice. And these were just regular ox shoes. It take 2 shoes per foot. This is called a bunghole auger for people, the coopers that made wooden barrels. They had to drill a hole when you made a wooden barrel like a whiskey barrel. It hadn't got a hole in it at all. So you had to put a hole in it where you could put some liquid in, whatever you want to put in it. And then when you got the bung out of it, you drove a wooden peg in that tapered hole, and then you put this in there and turn this, and this was draw your fluid off whatever you had in it, whether it's wine or whiskey or whatever. But this is the reason these things are tapered. They have a knife edge here on it, and they have a gauge on the side, and you could run it in here and cut it if how far you want to go up in it.
Many of these tools are foreign to us today, and the fact that they still exist is part of the lesson.
All these tools are fascinating me because of the quality. For instance, people years ago, they made tools and they made them to last. They made the quality and they made them to work with. For instance, during the Depression, a lot of companies like Winchester, Remington, Firestone, and some major companies had to go into something else because of they had to stay afloat. They didn't have the business that they wanted to in their own business, you know, like guns. They wasn't selling enough of them to stay afloat, so they had to do something else because of depression. You know, people didn't have any money, and they had to do something else, and they started making tools. And to my knowledge, Winchester makes a lot of different tools, and basically, that's what this country's about. People have an idea and they put it in some kind of action, and later on they take that particular experience and someone maybe picks it up and runs with it, and it's just amazing that people have the ability to fashion whatever they need.
You could say that these weekends are a display of necessity being the mother of invention. They are also a testament to America's drive to increase productivity and the standard of living. Well, these weekends are also just plain fun.
I look forward to them. I've looked forward to this for 6 months coming up here to this show. Why? I just like the people. I like the people. It's a good, close-knit bunch of people. Like to see engines. Sometimes you get a chance to pick up another engine.
To show off the old stuff and hoping some younger people will get into it, try to keep it going. This is a small show. We go to shows in Florida, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri. They're all over the United States. They're really big in a lot of you northern, well, a lot of places beside around here. I was the one who got this started. I guess I got a lot of women that hates me. We're getting their husbands into this tractor business.